Hey, I really would love to interact with people on this. I don't need this to be. I actually don't need this to be wrong, but I get where people are coming from with like Jesus. I've noticed that people that are kind of Orthodox or Catholic seem to. I thought Catholics were penal substitution in some sense, but I'm not sure. I'm open to like having different views on this, and I have problems with like everybody's view. So uh, I'm really interested in engaging this. So, but I find the gotcha sort of explanation for Jesus quoting, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And I find it very interesting, the thoughts that people say about that. Oh, he's not actually being forsaken by the Father. Look, I think you can deny penal substitution and still affirm that he felt forsaken dying on the cross. Like, I mean, the language is clear. Like, first off, I'd say the New Testament writers seem to think Isaiah 53 and Daniel 9 predicting the death of Jesus, and the language all over the New Testament about him doing that and the necessity of his death. Again, if you haven't thought of this, God, Jesus is the one who made the agreement in a sense, right, with Israel on Mount Sinai. Like, so, and the New Testament talks about like the death of the testator, like to like redo the covenant and get the people off the hook for having the curse of the law for breaking it. It's very clear. He had so he lays down his life to like the death of the testator has to happen or the people have to die. I mean, that seems like what it's saying. So like that's part of this. And so when you come at it from that point of view and you realize that, because it is a fact, by the way, but because people are so divorced from the actual context of the Hebrew, it seems to me anyway, they miss this. It's all this mystical thing, more of a mystical thing, which I don't have a problem with, by the way, being mystical in that way, in a certain sense. But like he willingly, in agreement with the Father to save people, willingly that laid down his life. It wasn't like, and so to me, anytime you take like, oh well, he's just quoting prophecy to fulfill prophecy, and it's like I don't have a problem with him purposely quoting text to make prophecy be fulfilled. Like, you know, I'm not saying he didn't know he was fulfilling prophecy, although you could make a case either way. I don't is what I do. Uh, Not like I'm some authority that can tell you what like why you shouldn't say something. It strikes me as anytime you take something that's predictive and then you say, well, he's not actually feeling forsaken. He's just quoting it to fulfill prophecy. It's like just quoting it to, like, really? It wasn't that the prophecy of what he would suffer was predicting what he would actually like the sort of like emotional response or like experiential sort of reality was being predicted of him. So like if you're trying to like say he didn't experience the sort of emotion that's conveyed in that statement because you don't like the implications of it for like an atonement theory, or you don't, or for whatever reason, it doesn't matter. It just to me it just robs it of meaning. It's like it seems like it's like you could do the same thing if you're like, say, if you're a Calvinist and you said, because Jesus is kind of quoting from the prophets when he tells, you know, and he weeps over Jerusalem. He's like, how I would have liked to gather you like a hen gathers her chicks under his wings, but you would not. Oh, he's just, it's not, you know, it's not like he actually wanted to like gather them. He knew they were, and there's a sense like God did know they were gonna, his people were gonna rebel. He predicted it. Moses said it. But like, are we going to say he wasn't really weeping over Jerusalem because of the individual people that wouldn't come to him, whether he knew it ahead of time or not? I suspect he did know in some sense. Certainly, God knew. Moses said it in the text. So like, you're gonna, and then God talks about how he knew it would happen, and then he would use that to bring salvation to the nations. And so, but still, we don't like he wasn't crying fake tears because he's like not a person experiencing like, you know, suffering and concern and a desire of love towards the people he's weeping over. They're not crocodile tears. It's not a dog and pony show. So look, God in the flesh is beaten, dying, and fully experienced death. as a divine person. You know, like he might have felt forsaken and God wasn't pouring his wrath out on him either. I mean, even if God wasn't pouring his wrath on him, it's like this eternal person is experiencing the death, fully experiencing death as from a human perspective. Can you imagine what that would be like if you're God? But I mean, I guess you can like take all the meaning out of it and basically take the Muslim position like Sam Shamoon, and like it only appeared that he died because he really just got freed from this prison of his body. And of course, everybody has an immortal soul, and certainly Jesus did. So really, death wasn't even an experience of like feeling forsaken. It was just I'm going to let go of this flesh suit and fly back to heaven. No, I think Jesus. Apparently, I'm a heretic, but I think Jesus, when he died, he was actually dead for 3 days, and then he rose back to life from the dead, and dead people aren't alive. And so, in fact, he suffered death as humans do and need a resurrection in a new body to be alive. And so, yeah, Jesus, the person who is God, fully God, took on humanity, 100% humanity, while being God, veiled his divinity and fully experienced truly dying on the cross. And he was dead for 3 days. Good thing he resurrected and is alive forevermore. But, you know, so I don't know. Even if God was, just the fact that he was suffering, like he's in constant communion with the Father. And it's like seemingly how he got through his mission and depending on his Father, even though he truly was God. And so if you're in full communion with the eternal God and you're an eternal person, and now you're dying essentially, in some sense, that would require some sort of disconnect with the Father, who is life. They both are, unborrowed, underived, eternal life dwells in the Godhead. So, but somehow Jesus took on human flesh and experienced death, which is like impossible, right? Because God can't die. Like the essence of the Godhead can't die, but yet Jesus died. And so to say his divinity didn't die, I think is appropriate, even though I tend to want to say God died because he was God and he did die. Some people think this is, by the way, this is probably the best argument you can muster against all the biblical evidence that suggests what death is or says what death is. And then the fact that Jesus was fully human in his experience to redeem us, even though he was God, there's a mystery there that no one's going to be able to explain perfectly or totally fully understand and grasp that. But the important thing is that Jesus actually died and that he fully took on human experience and triumphed. And so, but it's also true that he is fully a divine person that's eternal, yet that person was one person when he was a human, not two people, not here and there at the same time, not omnipresent in his person. And yet, in no sense was he not God, but in no sense was he not fully human and suffer all things as we do. It seems very necessary to say as well. So how you want to parse that out? Just be careful, because God might burn you forever if you say the wrong word. But I'll just say, I think he felt forsaken on the cross, maybe even towards the Father, between him and his Father, because for the divine person who's in full communion with his Father, as you can be, to fade into death from life would require some sort of disconnect, it seems to me. So that's my thoughts. You can feel, if you think I sound mean or mad or whatever, I'm not. I'm just passionate about it. I think it's a really interesting subject. So I'd be very curious, especially if you disagree, or what you disagree with and why. I'm very curious to talk about it. So don't feel like walking on eggshells to disagree with me.